they took to the stage. They made some announcement throughout.
Yeah. Did you stay awake during the whole thing, or drift off a little there?
Well, there were some good things in there.
I mean, we've been through some long Microsoft keynotes. We were in one where they actually had to stand up and do a little bit of exercising.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't die from blood clots. But they continue this 2-day of keynote thing, which I feel like, as weird as it is for a developer event to be used for marketing of things that have nothing to do with developers, the way that Apple and Google kind of do it, where they're like, here's the keynote with, the executives and all the, razzle dazzle, whatever. And then we have the developer keynote. And it's sort of like, I saw REM in concert one time a million years ago, and they played like their 2 most popular songs right up front. And they're like, all right, everyone from the MTV crowd can leave. Now we're going to start playing the songs we really like. And it's like, just go back and focus on developers, I don't like the way they do this. It's too much. And it's hard to stay awake, not awake, it's right, just alert, because there's stuff in there that is actually interesting,
Yeah. One of so there was a couple things at least stood out to me. One is the real obvious that we kind of all figured was coming, the Copilot for Windows 11, which again, there's this massive question on the side of, not docked to the side, but what is this thing going to cost? And what is it going to actually be? Like, what is the business here? But anyways, they're bringing their Copilot stuff to Windows, where you can just dump a PDF into it, and then it'll send all your data to the cloud and do something with it and then summarize it for you.
I feel like it's time to revisit the Windows UI. I don't think that adding another button to a sea of buttons is the solution to this problem. And that maybe they've already done a little bit of reworking of that corner thing with the clock and all that stuff, where there's a quick settings menu now when you click over those 3 icons. And then they've kind of combined a calendar and notifications, maybe that should be the Copilot, right? Over in the corner there, like make it more consistent with Edge, the browser, something like that.
Yeah.
What they need is a big Bing button up in the right corner. All right. And then maybe a toolbar with nonsense on it. Or actually just have a little toolbar right down the side, just like the sidebar in Edge.
I don't know. I just find it interesting that they're calling this thing Copilot, which is a very definitive choice rather than calling it the Bing bar or whatever you want to call it, because that to me just signifies again that this is part of a subscription product. This is a thing for Microsoft to charge money for.
Yeah, so the word Copilot equals pay.
Equals some sort of tier of Office, Microsoft 365, something.
Yep. Yeah, when you sign into with a Microsoft account to Windows for the first time now, if you have a Microsoft 365 subscription, they add a Microsoft 365 app icon to your taskbar. If you don't, they don't. Okay. Maybe it's like that. If you sign into your subscription and you're paying for this thing, maybe you get that bar thing or whatever. Maybe because I just don't think another. I feel like people don't understand what those things are to begin with. Most of them. I mean, the search icon's pretty understandable. Well, now it's a search box, but they're just shapes. It's like when you right click on the taskbar and the things you need the most, right? And I can't just right-click on the taskbar. I mean, right-click on an item in Explorer or something. I almost have to create something because I don't have anything there. God damn it. If you right-click on something, let me do that again. The most common options that people would use, probably, Microsoft knows this better than me, but probably, are cut, copy, paste, right? Rename, share, delete. Those are the things they don't spell out. They just have icons. And it's like, okay, we've established that the Windows user base doesn't, by and large, does not understand concepts like cut, copy, and paste with regards to files, even though this has been present in the system since 1995. This is a fact. So that's why things like Snap have little hints because it's not clear you can do this stuff. Like people don't just know it, And I think the icons in the taskbar are the same thing. It's like, what you want me to use these functions, but like, what am I supposed to do? Like figure out what they are on my own, I think you need to just make it more obvious. I think that's the point behind the Edge stuff, right? I don't like it personally, but when you open up Edge, you get this bar on the side,
Well, one thing that should be pretty obvious is that you should check out Alert Logic, because Fortress Alert Logic offers the most comprehensive managed detection and response coverage for public cloud, software as a service, on-premises, and hybrid environments. To learn more about Alert Logic, visit alertlogic.com. Descriptions have links.
Yeah, just speaking of the opposite of logic, I should point out that I at least have enough self-awareness to know that what I just suggested was, I don't like the buttons on the taskbar. We should put another bar with more buttons on the side so that people can discover
charms
it.
bar.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm kind of talking about a charms bar because in my brain, what I was really thinking, which I don't think makes sense, again, is that you hit the edge of the right side of the screen and that some bar appears.
Yeah.
People would hate that,
Yep.
But I mean, that's the way widgets sort of works, right? I mean, anyway, I actually don't have the solution. I want to be really clear about that. I'm just freewheeling here, but I think the thing that they're doing is not the best way. And maybe that changes. Maybe there is work being done. Maybe, we keep talking about Windows 12 and maybe something,
Yep.
Maybe by the time that comes along, this becomes more of a cohesive UI that they're just tacking it on today because this is the model that we have. And let's face it, the taskbar is not particularly sophisticated right now. So there's not really a lot of options here.
Yeah, the other interesting thing that I think is going to honestly impact way more people than actually this Copilot stuff, at least today, is they announced the native ability to unpackage like RAR files and that kind of stuff. And
7-zip and I think GZ maybe.
Yeah, all that just natively is going to start working now.
And boy, why wasn't it's one of those things like when did compressed files, I think they call it, when did that appear? XP, something like that, a million years ago. This thing has been sitting half-assedly in Windows ever since. I bet they've never even looked at it. So yeah, I mean, definitely I'd support for those things. I mean, 100%. But there's also like weird stuff like a docx file. Is it really just a container for other things, right? That it describes the file. It's basically a zip file. I think like a Windows theme file is basically a zip file, if I'm not mistaken. But one of the things you can't really do in Windows 11 is look inside either one of those things easily. Like, why wouldn't the built-in, whatever, the compressed folder or whatever, why wouldn't that just work with all these things? Like, it should be it's weird how limited it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a new AI section of the Microsoft Store coming. I'm not really sure what. It's a thing. It's coming. Yay, I guess. I don't know.
Try not to be cynical when the Microsoft Store is going to look at reviews and use AI to create a summary of those reviews. The cynical response to that is those reviews that it's using as source material will, in fact, have been written by AI themselves. So now it will just be AI plagiarizing AI. That's fine. Does this change the nature of the store in any way? Not really. It's like when you go to, if you ever look at a place on Google Maps, it will say something like, people are saying, I don't remember how they describe it, but it'll be like, the hot dogs are fantastic, or you have to try the French fries, or whatever. They have little pull quotes that they grabbed out of things right at the top. It's kind of what Microsoft's doing here for the store. It's an okay idea.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't change anything, but it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, the store's the store at the end of the day. It's Bing Search will be integrated into ChatGPT. That's probably the least surprising announcement at this point.
Well, you notice the language there was it's going to be the default. So that tells me that people can change it.
Yep.
And that tells me people will change it, right? One of the advantages of using ChatGPT is that it's not Bing, right?
Right.
And so that's going to be an interesting test case of the Bing brand, and my supposition or my prediction or whatever it is that I don't think this is a good brand and people don't like it. So we'll see.
ChatGPT based off of Google, which is kind of like Bard, but not Bard, obviously.
Yeah.
Potentially, that's going to be the big test that I guess will come out as people will ask queries, and then it'll be like, here's the Bing results, here's the one with Google backing. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that and just people aren't even going to check. They're just going to switch to Google,
Yep.
just like they do in their browser. Even people who use Edge, I bet, Barnley, this must be the most humiliating thing to the Edge team, I bet, is that the majority of people probably do use Google, just like the majority
Maybe.
of people use
I don't know about
Windows.
for Edge.
No, I know,
Edge
I
probably
know, I
doesn't
don't
care.
know either. I'm just, but some percentage, right? I mean, we don't
Yeah.
really. Then these are the things no one will ever talk about. Microsoft has invested $11 billion in OpenAI so far. If most ChatGPT customers switch to Google, you're not going to hear about that.
Mhm.
There's no good comes of talking about that, right? There's no good comes from that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you? I mean, from the cloud stuff, right? I mean, because you don't even remember any of this stuff, but like, is there anything that really was like, yeah? I mean, I think the thing you just mentioned was maybe the big news, like Bing the default and ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But as far as Microsoft's in-house AI, cloud, blah blah blah, whatever, I mean, this is far off. This is one of the troubles with these announcements is you have to each one parse what, if anything, they say about availability. A lot of it is in preview now, in preview this summer, coming weeks. But this one that I'm going to mention is like way out there. And it was basically they're going to start looking at ways that they can use AI to determine if content was created by AI and then automatically flag it. And this is not a unique idea, right? I mean, I know other people are talking about doing this kind of thing, and that current examples fail spectacularly, but it's almost like a digital watermark kind of a thing, right? Like you want to know that this is what it is. I think the funniest thing about it is this will take so long to get right that by the time they do get it right, AI will be semi-trustworthy and no one will care anymore. It will be considered authoritative anyway. So the fact that like this content was created by AI, they'll be like, great, that's what we want at that point, maybe. But that's about it. I
mean, there's data, the fabric thing, and
yeah. We definitely need more brands.
bring all your basically analytics into a fabric, right? Can't make anything out of it. Like you can't turn it into a scarf. But
sure. I don't know.
Oh,
it was pretty dense.
They got like Data Factory, Data Lakes, Power BI. They got all these different things, and I guess they're trying to unify them.
It's a sci-fi movie from the future.
Maybe. So build day 2 will happen today. Maybe more Windows stuff. Maybe there won't be. We'll find out together.
No, there definitely will be. Panos Panay is going to be part of this, and I'm very curious. Like we keep talking about this. Really curious about the Windows news. There was a little bit of it yesterday, obviously. Curious about any surprises. Looking at the people who are involved with this is probably going to be more Microsoft 365. Maybe is the better term. But Windows will be a big chunk of it. So Panos will be on stage, and obviously we have to pay attention to that. So
yeah, we do.
This should be more interesting to us.
And maybe will be more interesting to you.
Only be.
No promises.